Hi, I'm Stuart.
I'm Eva.
And welcome to Chestnut Hill. Today what we're going to be doing is renovating an old apple tree that's behind us here. I don't think this thing has ever been pruned. It certainly hasn't been touched in 15 or more years. And so let's go have a look at it. We'll talk about the tree a little bit and some of the challenges we face. And let's go have a look. All right, so here's the apple tree. It's a golden delicious type apple. It produces a lot of small, tasty golden delicious type apples. This is probably a volunteer tree, so I don't think we'll ever know exactly what the variety is. The challenge that we have with this tree is the apples have a Sooty Bloch, a fungus on them, which is, you can wash it off and eat it just fine. But it is a cosmetic issue to the apple, and it may be causing some issues with its size and so on. So what we want to do here is open this canopy up. We're going to want a single leader, a strong leader headed up, and try to train this towards lateral type branches, and we are going to want to cap the height to make it more manageable. So we're going to what we'll want to do is deal with crossing branches that are growing inwards, dead branches, and branches that shadow other branches, because we want to get the sunlight and the air through that. So with that, we'll go ahead. We're going to be using a combination of pruning shears, a pair of loppers, pruning saw, and an extension pruning saw to go at this. So we'll take a few clips of us. We'll show you some of these examples, and then we'll set them up on a tripod and we'll just run through and see what we can do. One of the key things you want to be doing when you're pruning your trees is to not prune more than about a third of the tree down. We may go to a more aggressive because this is just in such need of it, and we're not worried about getting any apples this year. So we're going to go at it and let's see how it goes. Okay, so Ava, this is one of the first branches we'll take off. We have to figure out where to start. We've kind of evaluated this tree. There isn't a very good vertical leader that is clearly a winner, but we'll go with this one here, this branch here. It's mostly vertical. We'll do some pruning up at the top. But for now, let's talk about this here. So now we have a branch here, and we have a branch over top of it. This branch will be shadowing any growth on this branch, so it will be stopping the airflow. Plus, it's kind of like in here. This one's a nice lateral, so I'm going to actually choose to take this one out. Now, what you want to do when you're making a cut, I've got my pruning saw, is you want to make an undercut underneath, so that when the branch splits down, it doesn't tear down the bark on the side of the tree. And then you want to cut on the outside of the collar. So you want to cut it close, but you don't want to cut it right up tight against the tree. You'll see a natural collar. It's a little tricky to get inside here, but we'll make that cut up. Once again, we're doing this here so that the bark does not rip down the side of the tree. So we got that in place. Now I'm going to go ahead and come in and cut this branch off outside of the collar. Okay, so another important thing too is, so when you're pruning your tree, especially if you're pruning a diseased tree, don't leave the branches and stuff around the base of the tree. Get them out, get them away. We're going to stack ours over there for now, and we'll pull that out. Pull them off later. Okay, so the next thing one of the first things we would be looking for is any dead branches. Get rid of those right away. We don't actually have any dead branches, at least not apparent in the tree here. So the other two items that we mentioned was branches growing inwards and branches that are crossing. So Ava, if you come in and we can show some examples here. So here's an example of branches that are crossing each other. So they'll be rubbed with the wind and they're creating mass in here. And then these branches here are growing inwards. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll pull these guys out. We'll clip this one down. These can be just done with a lopper or pruners, but I'll go ahead and cut this one out. So if you come over here, so once again, if you come in, can you come in close? You'll see the collar here on the trunk or on the tree. You want to cut the branch on the outside of that collar. So once again, I'll flip over to the other side here. It's a case of doing an undercut. To make sure it doesn't rip. And then we'll go ahead and do some pruning cut on the top. So there's another one. Out. Okay, stop. All right, so I've switched now to a pair of pruners, bypass pruners. So now we're going to hit some of these smaller ones that are crossing. Once again, outside the collar, make your cut. And some of these ones growing inwards. And once again, we'll clean this all up afterwards. All right, so this one here is a shadowing branch. We'll go ahead and take these guys out. So already, just by those couple of cuts, this area has opened up very much so. This one here is kind of shadowing that stuff there too, so I'll go ahead and we'll pull that one out. So if you come over here, you can see how open and how much air the apples will get. And the apples are going to grow on these little ends. Here, that's where they'll fruit out. Okay, here's another good example of a crossing branch. This one's all tied up in the branch above it. Go ahead and pull this guy down. And we'll continue. I guess our next decision point is to decide if this is going to be our central leader. There's another candidate over here. We kind of discussed this one a little bit. It seems to be the stronger of the two. So we'll go ahead and we'll make this one the dominant, the central leader, and we'll go ahead and we'll cut off some of those other branches up there, with leaving one, and even that we'll go ahead and cap it off so that it doesn't get too tall to be able to harvest the apples effectively. So tool for that is an extension pruner, which we'll go ahead and grab next. All right, so what we have here is an extension. It's a bypass cutter as well as a pruning saw. This will extend up and get up quite high. And you see here, utilizing this rope, a little blade will come there and chop my finger off. So like that, and then you put that around the branch and you can go ahead and cut it. And it'll cut the branch off, or you can use it as a pruning saw. So what we're gonna have to do first here is I'm gonna go ahead, come on down, is we're gonna go ahead and take off. So this is gonna be our central leader here. I'm gonna go ahead and pull off these side branches because we don't need those, and we don't want to take the focus away from the central leader. So I'll go ahead, we'll work our way in here, get that looped over that branch on the outside of the collar, and we'll go ahead just like that. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing on this one. And on this one. So it's a little bit bigger, but I think we're well within capability of pulling that. Pull these out. Now, we have two more that we have to decide which ones are, which of those two up at the top are going to be the primary. Which one are you voting for, Ava? Should we make this guy the primary or that guy?
The second one.
This one should be the primary?
Yes.
Okay. You sure?
No.
I'm voting for the other one.
Okay.
If you come over here, and here's the thought process behind it. This tree does lean way over. We're bringing the central leader back to help give some balance. This one seems to come more or less straight up, and this one kind of curves back. So I'm going to go ahead and take that one out. And I may not have gotten all the way through that one. I have to take a second bite at it. Come at it a little differently. Let's see, we're making a mess of this. Let's try this again. There we go. Almost making a mess of that. I got to clean that up a little bit. Should have used the soft portion of this tool, so we'll go ahead and bring that down. All right, we're definitely gonna have to clean that up. So that's the gist of what we're going to do. We'll go ahead and we'll set this up on a tripod, and if there's any other interesting ones we want to point out, we'll go ahead. But once again, crossing branches, branches growing inwards, branches that are shadowing other branches, promote lateral branches that come out. Like we'll take this guy out because he's rubbing up against here and so on. So we'll go ahead and get you guys set up on a tripod and let's get at it. Okay, so as you can see, we kind of tackled this guy pretty hard. Definitely if you're looking to get any kind of harvest, you'd only want to do 30%, but we went at it pretty hard. The idea is to try to establish a new central leader up the middle and to try to get branches going out more lateral or more horizontal as possible. For this kind of tree, that's what you're looking for. A lot of other fruit trees, you're looking for like a vase shape, you know, where you would take out the leader and promote the outer branches, but that's not the case with these kind of apple trees. So as you can see, we tried to cut off a lot of the little spurs that were growing straight up or growing in. The branches that were shadowing other branches are crowding them in. As you can still see, we've actually left an example of that here, where those two branches there, especially near the top, are shadowing each other, but we want to see, you know, which one kind of becomes the stronger of the two. We would definitely want to lean towards this one that's more lateral than that one there, but we only wanted to take so much out in one go. So tried to clean off a lot of the stuff that was growing in. There's still some. Here's an example. So you would want to cut that off. But there you go. That's our pruning for this year on the apple tree. We'll see how it goes, and maybe we'll have to tackle it again next year. Thanks for your help, Ava. Appreciate it. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave your comments. If you have some suggestions on maybe a slightly different approach to doing this, I'm far from an expert. You leave them down in the comments, and let's see what other people want to have to think. Take care. We're squinting.
Yeah.